Shelby. Asante Sana does mean thank you in Swahili, and something else we say is Twende. Let's go.
Hello,
Jumbo
we
friends,
recommend
my
to you
name is
from
Rachel. I'm going to be
Kilimanjaro
your safari
Safaris.
guide today, and I am really excited to take you out onto the Harambe Wildlife Reserve with me. Just a couple of quick safety reminders though before we make our way fully out there. Friends, this is a real truck. I do actually drive it, and these roads can get kind of bumpy. So with that and your safety in mind, I just ask that you remain fully seated and keep those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle for the entire duration of our safari as well. But now would be a fantastic time to get those phones and cameras out and ready to take any photos or videos. If able to, put them in some type of sports or action mode, as we're not going to be able to fully stop for every animal here on the reserve, but we're going to do our very best to get those picture and video opportunities for them. Now we are entering the Little Ituri Forest first, and the animals here do tend to use camouflage to get away from those predators. So make sure that we keep our eyes on the lookout and look to the bushes. Now over on the left, do a little wing salute for us. That does look like it's a saddle-billed stork. They get their name from that yellow leathery saddle that's on their beak, and you're able to tell their gender from their eye color. That one's a male. He has brown eyes and some teardrop yellow wattles hanging down from his beak. Females of his species are gonna have yellow eyes. Now on the right-hand side, that's an okapi. Does anyone know what the okapi is closely related to?
A giraffe.
A giraffe. That's right. That's because they're going to have these things called ossicones on their heads. At least the male okapis are. And those are going to be skin-covered horn-like protrusions that only the giraffe and the okapi share, which is how we know they're related. They also are both going to have these really long prehensile tongues. Prehensile means they can control the movement of it, so they use it to groom themselves, as they can reach their ears and eyeballs with that tongue. Don't know if I'd want to clean those body parts with mine, but seems to be doing okay for theirs. Now there's that female saddle-billed stork on that hilltop. Looks like they're starting to make a nest. Saddle-billed storks do tend to mate for life. Now I thought I saw a rhino. Let's go see if we can find where it went.
Yeah. It's an interference.
Looks like it decided to hide from us today. Oh, it's kind of poking out in that far back left corner, but that would be a black rhino. They're going to be a smaller species of rhino here on the reserve. They're still going to weigh like 3,000 pounds though, so they're definitely not too small. Now over on the left, there is a greater kudu. She's a female because she doesn't have any horns on her head, but there is another horned antelope hiding in those bushes as well. That would be a bongo. They are known as ghosts of the forest. They're pretty good at hiding out. They're actually so good at it that scientists don't even know everything about the bongo because they can't find them either. But both of the bongo and the greater kudu have stripes along their backs, which is going to act as their natural camouflage. Now we are heading towards a river now. It's called the Safi River. And the animals out here on the Safi River don't really like to come fully out of the water very often, so look out for some dark blobs and bubbles. And it's going to loop around to the left, even though it starts on the right. I think I see some of those dark blobs. They're not in a great spot for everyone to see, though. But I do spot a lot of pink-backed pelicans. Those are going to be those large white birds. Fully seated, please, and thank you. Fully seated. Please sit down, my friend. Now, pink-backed pelicans get their name because during mating season, their beaks and backs are going to turn a nice pink color, almost like they blush for their crush. They're one of the smallest species of pelicans, but one of the largest flighted birds. Now, over here on the left, there's another hippo. So the word hippopotamus means river horse, because surprisingly enough, they don't actually like to swim. They find it kind of hard to do so. They got some pretty big bodies, some little legs. So they actually just like to sink to the bottom and walk, like a horse walks on land. They're able to hold their breath for a couple minutes at a time while they do so, and they can communicate underwater as effectively as above, with their vocalization that's called a wheeze honk. Now each wheeze honk is unique to each hippo, so they know who's talking based on who's wheeze honking. And it looks like there's some more hippos in the back left. They're in a group called a float, but I do need everyone to be fully seated, please. Now this looks like it would be a good place for a crocodile to hide. I think I saw one poking its head out, but it was very hard to see. Now they're able to keep their bodies submerged while they have their heads peeking out, because their eyes, ears, and nose do sit on the top of that crocodile's head, and that's all that needs to be out of the water. They actually even have these thermal pressure receptors under their scales that are going to allow them to feel any pressure change or minute movement in that water. That's not only going to allow them to hunt while they can't really see very well, but also at night. And they can eat about 50% of their body weight in a single sitting. Now, seeing as they can grow to be 500 pounds, that's a lot of food. Though, if they do eat that much, they're generally only going to eat about once a week. Now, looks like we're heading down towards the savannah now. It is a lot more flat and open over here, so these animals are going to rely a lot more on speed and agility and a lot less on camouflage. It also does happen to be home to some of Africa's most recognizable animals too, so I hope that we got a couple of those on our journey. Oh, I do believe we are about to be dazzled. So if you need those sunglasses to see this dazzle of zebras, I would not judge you. A group of zebras is called a dazzle, by the way. Now these zebras over here on the right are Hartman's mountain zebras, and I can tell because they have white underbellies and thicker stripes towards those rear legs. Now each species has that kind of blueprint as to what their stripes look like, but they are all unique. That's how they tell each other apart in those dazzles. Now there's also the tallest land animal in the world over here on the right, the giraffe. Giraffes can grow to be about 20 feet tall, and even on day one, they stand taller than me. Not that it's really that hard to do, but they're already 6 feet. They're standing within the first couple hours of their life too, even after they take a jarring 6-foot drop from mom. Now amongst those giraffes are also going to be some cattle. Those are Ankole-Watusi cattle. They're actually part of the bovine family, which is also going to include buffalo and bison, but they're the only domesticated animal here on this savanna. They were first domesticated by the Watusi tribe that gave them their name, but they're not bred for milk, meat, or hide. They are just status symbols. Oh, but over here on the left, that looks like a couple of African painted dogs.
How do you get up there? You just jump.
Now African painted dogs look so cute and cuddly, right? I would love to pet one, but I actually would not recommend it. African painted dogs do happen to be the most successful pack hunters here on the savannah, and they work as a team to surround their prey before they take them down with their strong teeth. But they do always let the pups eat first. I think that's kind of nice. Also in that back left corner, there's going to be some sable antelopes lying down. They're the emblem of the Harambe Wildlife Reserve because they don't back down to predators, just like we don't back down to poachers here. They can even fight off opponents if they jump on them from behind, as those horns of theirs curve backwards, so they can just tilt that chin up to poke them away. Now we are getting closer to some of these giraffes over here as well. And this giraffe does look like it is a Maasai giraffe. Now there's 4 different species of giraffes, and they're pretty easily told apart from their spots. Maasai giraffe are going to have this jagged edge to their spot, whereas some other species like reticulated giraffes have smooth edges and uniform spot patterns. Now Now these giraffes also get about 6 to 7 feet of that height from those really long necks of theirs. But they actually have the same amount of bones in their necks that we do as humans, which is 7. Their bones are just about 10 inches long each, which is how theirs are a lot longer than ours. Oh, and over on the left, there are 2 really large antelopes. Those are elands. They're the largest antelope here on the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, if those elands started walking towards us, we'd probably be able to hear it. As the tendons in an eland's knee joint, they actually slide over one another when they walk. So they make a clicking sound. Sounds like my knees. Now there's also going to be this other antelope over here on the right. Those are wildebeest, that gray one. They're the second most densely populated mammal in the world. Do you guys know what the first is?
Humans.
I'm looking at some of them. As it is, humans, yeah. Humans have the highest population density among mammals, but wildebeest, they live in groups of about 10 to 1,000 and migrate with closer to 1.5 million, which is how they're second. There's also a young giraffe on that hilltop too, definitely a couple months old by its size. Also on that hill, there's going to be some small antelope. Those are springbok. We should be able to see them a little bit better in a couple of minutes. But I like to call them the s'mores of the savannah because they have graham cracker backs, chocolate stripes, and marshmallow bellies. Now they do also always make me crave a s'more when I see them. But even though they're small, they're still kind of mighty. They have a behavior where they jump up and down 6 feet high and 13 feet in length. It's called pronking. So they're actually able to pronk right over your heads in this vehicle if they really wanted to. Oh, now this giraffe over here is showing off that prehensile tongue to us. Their tongues are about 16 to 18 inches long. And while the Okapi uses theirs to groom, they mostly use theirs to eat these giraffes. The leaves. They eat leaves, not giraffes. But it looks like we're heading towards elephant territory as there's going to be 2 African elephants on the right. Now there's 2 different ways I can tell that they are African. The first is their ears. They have some pretty large ears that are shaped similarly to the continent of Africa. Whereas Asian elephants, they have smaller and more triangular ears. Wow. Now the second way I can tell it's an African elephant is arguably going to be even easier than just looking at ears. And that's because, well, friends, we are driving through Africa, right? So that's usually a pretty good indicator. Now you might see elephants flapping their ears. This one doesn't seem to be doing it right now, but they would do it if they needed to cool off their body. As the act of flapping not only acts like a fan, but also helps to cool down the veins that run through their ears. And that'll take the cooler blood to the rest of that body as well. Question for you as we pass through here. Are any of you afraid of bees? No? Well, no worries then. Hakuna Matata. We're not going to see any bees anyway. At least in large groups. And that's because there's another friend of ours here that's afraid of them just like I am. Do you guys know who that happens to be? Elephants, that's right. Now, elephants are pachyderms, which does mean that they have thick skin in Greek. But even though they have thick skin, they have pretty sensitive skin. So elephants are actually able to feel bee stings almost as easily as we do, and it makes them feel pretty uncomfortable as well. So they actually share a similar response to myself when they see or hear them. That's going to be to turn around and run away. Now that'd be a little tricky for me sometimes. I am driving this truck for y'all. However, it is a fantastic response for these elephants to have. That's because when they wander in their herds, well, they don't always carry maps. and they have a pretty hard time reading private property signs a lot. So they sometimes make their way onto farmers' lands, where they can accidentally destroy those farmers' crops. That was leading to a human-elephant conflict going on as, well, those farmers would take actions against the elephants to protect their livelihood. Now, we did not want that to continue happening, though. We love the elephants here. So the Harambe Wildlife Reserve actually partnered with those same farmers to get bee boxes put around the perimeters of their farmland. So the elephants would actually turn away when they heard those bees buzz. That was called the Elephants and the Bees Project, by the way. Now, looks like we're coming around to flamboyance of flamingos. That's what a group of them is called. And these look like they're greater flamingos. Now, the greater flamingo is the largest and also the palest species of flamingo. They still get a pink coloring, though. That's from the beta-carotene that's in the brine shrimp they eat. And if they didn't eat that beta-carotene, you'd actually only see white feathers. Now, you still might see a little bit of white because flamingos are actually gray when they're born before they turn white and eventually reach that pink. But if you are looking for more of a hot pink flamingo, I would head on over to the Oasis and see those lesser flamingos. They tend to have that more vibrant color. Have a pretty similar joint structure to humans as well. It's just more elongated than ours. So the joint that's in the center of a flamingo's leg, that is typically thought of as their knee, it's actually their ankle. And their knees are tucked up under their feathers. So if you think about it, they do go the same way that our leg joints do. They just look a little funky. Now this next animal can sometimes be a little hard to spot, but I don't think you're going to have much trouble, as I did see a cheetah walking around. Now cheetahs are the only big cat to purr, and they actually don't roar at all. They simply meow, chirp, hiss, and purr to communicate with one another. Now cheetahs, though, they have a title as well. That is the fastest land mammal in the world. That's because cheetahs can reach speeds up to 60 miles an hour in just 3 seconds. Though they can only sustain it for short periods because it does expend a lot of energy for them. But they are also the only cat to have semi-retractable claws. That means that they're never going to go fully back into their paw pads. But friends, we have reached other cat territory. We're going to go loop around to hopefully see that lioness from the other side. But I do believe we've come across a pride of lions. Now that lioness, she would be the hunter of the pride. They go hunting while this male that you might see sitting up front, he's actually going to stay back to protect the rest of his pride. And it looks like walking towards us on the right, that's going to be a white rhino. Oh, it wants to drink some water. But that lion, well, he does look kind of young to me, judging by the size of his mane. I'd wager he's probably around 2.5 or so. And it's going to take another 2.5-ish years for his mane to fully grow in and reach full maturity. Now, lions are also able to see us as easily as we see them during the day, but they see 6 times better than us at night. So that's why they're nocturnal. You'll typically see them just kind of lying around. They sleep for 20 hours every day.
Lying around.
Now this crash of white rhinos that's in front of us, they're distinguishable as white rhinos in a couple of different ways. I'll tell you about them in just a couple of seconds. Now, white rhinos are a little bit different than some other species, but the most distinguishable way of telling them apart is actually going to be their mouth, surprisingly enough. These white rhinos have a wide, broad mouth that's kind of square, which is actually how they're going to get their name, white. They don't have white skin, it's gray, but the Afrikaans word white means wide, and it's actually in reference to how wide their mouths are. Looks like that treat truck did the trick if it would take one more step, but we'll try to squeeze on by. Now, rhinos don't really see very well, so that might be part of this problem. They instead need to rely on their sense of smell and sound to get around, so you might see their ears flicking around. That's just to help see us a little bit better. These lions are pretty cool. The word Simba in Swahili actually does mean lion too, so you are just looking at Simba. Awesome. On the right-hand side, looks like there's some ostriches as well as a water buck. That water buck is a non-migratory species of antelope. Instead of migrating, they actually like to stay close to permanent water sources as they drink more water than any other antelope. As for those ostriches, well, they are the largest bird, and they don't really fly though. They run about 35 to 40 miles an hour. And those were both females. They had gray feathers. Looks like they laid some eggs over here on the right too. Now the ostrich egg is the largest bird egg that's laid. Makes sense, they're the largest bird. And each one of those eggs weighs nearly 3 pounds. They're also going to be the equivalent of 2 dozen chicken eggs. And if an adult human male stood on one of them, it actually wouldn't break. That's because it has to withstand a male ostrich also laying on them for periods of incubation. In between the female, of course. Nice little co-parenting. But we are entering the last area of the reserve today. This is the Warden's post. Now the Warden does like to raise some Nigerian dwarf goats here because they're going to help to mow the lawn as natural grazers. But they also produce a sweet, high-valued milk that makes for a really good goat cheese. Now some of these goats may look a little small, but they are all fully grown. Now to reach behavioral levels of maturity though, sometimes you'll see them doing some funny things like running, jumping, climbing, and headbutting. Though it is all totally normal. I mean, I headbutt too sometimes. And if you notice that there was a yellow box in the front of that Warden's post, well, that was a bee box from the Elephants and the Bees project. So it looks like we might be seeing some bees shortly. But speaking of conservation, I would actually like to tell you about one more initiative on the way back to Harambe. And it's about the northern white rhinos. So today we saw a black rhino, kind of, but we definitely saw that crash of white rhinos, right? Those were southern white rhinos. Now there's only 5 species left in the world, and they are all endangered because rhinos are being poached by humans for the keratin that's in their horns. But we as humans also produce keratin in our fingernails and hair, so there's really no scientific reason as to why we would poach rhinos. I think that makes it a little bit more sad because the northern white rhino, they're actually considered functionally extinct, as there's only 2 of them left in the world, and they are both females. But Disney has been able to partner alongside the reserve that those rhinos live on and a university, and before the last male passed around 2018, they collected viable northern white rhino sperm and eggs. So they're actually potentially save the species. I think that sounds really cool. And tomorrow, Disney Plus is releasing a new documentary based on the northern white rhinos. It's called Last Rhino. So I would check it out. I definitely am going to. I recommend you do as well. But this does look like it's about where we'll be leaving each other today. Now, instead of saying goodbye, as I find those to be kind of sad and final, here in Harambe, we instead like to say Kwaherini, as Kwaherini means to go well. So I hope that you all go well, go wild, and go make a difference. And go stay hydrated while you enjoy the rest of your day here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. My name's Rachel, I've been your safari driver. Asante Sana, thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you had so much fun. My friends on this right-hand side, watch those hands, arms, feet, legs, your doors are going to slide open, and watch your step as you depart. Thank you all again for joining me. Have a wonderful day.
Oh yeah, that was a great safari. Okay, we're going to be wrapping up our broadcast right here though, people. As always, thank you everyone for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope everyone out there is having a super califragilistic expialidocious type of week, and we will see you guys all a little later. Bye-bye.